He turns 37.
They weren't really a rock and roll band. They just played one on television. But the Monkees quickly crossed over to the Billboard charts and became America's answer to the Beatles.
But after only 2 seasons, their Emmy-winning show was canceled, and the band was torn apart.
It was a very lonely time for me during the Monkees.
It was so intense and so crazy and so ridiculous.
I had a collapse.
Their moment as teen idols ended more than 3 decades ago, but hey, they're still the Monkees, now hot enough to pose for Vanity Fair and preparing a new tour.
We've known each other longer now than other members of our family.
35 years.
Yeah, 35 years. So it becomes like siblings, and you have your good days, you have your bad days.
For Mickey Dolenz, Davy Jones, Peter Tork, and Michael Nesmith, those days started when they showed up to audition, along with hundreds of other hopefuls. By the time Davy did this screen test, producers saw something special.
I kind of like tall girls, yeah. It's kind of groovy, but...
Well, no, I didn't ask you that, Davy.
Yeah.
I asked you whether or not they like you.
In September 1966, America's teenage girls saw something special, too.
I got stars in my eyes, and I fell in love at least twice an episode,
You know those little sparkly stars, they hired him for that.
You know, that was part of me. You know, I was the baby-faced guy, and the girls weren't threatened by me.
What I've noticed is that those to whom David Jones appealed deserve Davy Jones.
He got all the girls on the show. I got all the girls off the show.
It wasn't until they went out and performed that they realized their impact.
When we went on tour, there was obviously a sense, but still, it was very...
18,000 screaming teenagers!
He and I are then being chased by 5, 10, 20, 30, 50. There's 5, 6, 700 kids outside the hotel waiting for us at all times.
The 6 o'clock alarm will never ring.
In just over 2 years, they sold 16 million albums. And though their core fans were about 13, they soon learned that they had older admirers, groupies who saw them not as teen idols, but as rock stars.
Absolute rock star, absolutely. And I had my fair share of all the things that go along with that, of women, wine, and song.
He enjoyed more than wine. In fact, Mickey says he smoked marijuana with Paul McCartney at the Beatles' London home.
We just sat and hung and like smoked this massive, great thing. It was fun. Yeah.
The Beatles were apparently big Monkee fans, and Mickey says he did drugs with John Lennon, too.
The last acid trip was with John was there, and Brian Wilson, and a couple of other people, and I just remember just being bored to death. It was a waste of money and a waste of time, looking back. I got very little out of it.
The trip looked like it was ending for all of them in 1968. The show was canceled and the group was finished. It was a hard fall.
There's this sense of emptiness and loss. That's why you read about people looking to stimulate themselves with other things in order to compensate for the career that they maybe don't have anymore.
For Peter, the solution was alcohol.
My decision always was to drink. I would decide to have like 1 beer and wonder at the end of the night how I'd manage to drink that many.
He says he didn't stop until 1980, and that staying sober for 20 years has been hard work.
Drinking is about not facing your life, and when you quit drinking comes the deluge, and Yahoo! Like being caught in a tsunami, and then you have to face it all.
For Mickey, a father of 4, the real emotional pain of the time was a divorce he was going through. He says he was glad the Monkees were finished.
I did not want to be famous anymore.
He couldn't find work as an actor, even losing the role of Fonzie to Henry Winkler. In 1975, he was hired for a play in London, and it led to a directing job for the BBC.
And I was thrilled. I mean, I changed my name to Michael, and very shortly, I wasn't known as ex-Monkee Mickey Dolenz. I was known as Michael Dolenz, the director.
And even though Davy still worked as an actor and found joy with his horses back home in England, there was always the memory of what was.
There are ups and downs, and I've had times throughout the last 35 years where I've felt helpless, hopeless, useless, untalented, unwanted.
Then, in the mid-'80s, MTV and Nickelodeon started rerunning the show. Davy, Mickey, and Peter reunited, idols for a new generation of teens. New Monkee mania has even drawn a reluctant Michael Nesmith back for occasional appearances. A successful producer and heir to the Whiteout fortune, Nesmith has chosen to skip most reunions. As for his bandmates, concert tours and a VH1 movie about their lives have brought new fame and old problems.
Being a celebrity does take a toll on your personal life, and in fact it still does at this particular point.
Davey, twice divorced with 4 daughters, just ended a 4-year relationship and is concentrating on monkey business. Besides starting their tour in March, they're talking about Broadway, a movie, and more recordings. Their fans just can't get those Monkees off their backs.
I think the Monkees touched a lot of people. They just didn't come into their TVs in their living rooms or onto their record players. They touched them deeper than that.
You know, because of Davy Jones' popularity with the Monkees, another British singer named David Jones was forced to change his name to David Bowie. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The CBS 2 Information Network is a group of